The Elephant's Child by Rudyard Kipling.
In the high and far off times, the elephant, oh best to be loved, had no trunk. He had only a black, baldy nose as big as a boot. He could wiggle about from side to side, but he couldn't pick up things with it.
But there is one elephant, a new elephant, an elephant's child, who is full of insatiable curiosity. And that means he was asked ever so many questions. He lived in Africa and filled all Africa with insatiable curiosities.
He has a tall aunt with ostrich,
Why do your tail feathers grow just so?
and they spanked him with a hard claw.
He asked his tall uncle, the giraffe.
What makes your skin spotty?
Uncle Giraffe smacked him with his tail.
He asked his hairy uncle, the baboon.
Why do melons taste just so?
His uncle baboon spanked him with a hairy paw. Still, he was full of insatiable curiosity.
He asked questions about everything he saw, or heard, or felt, or smelled, or touched, and all his uncles and aunts spanked him. And still, he was full of insatiable curiosity.
And one morning, the insatiable elephant's child asked a new fine question that he had never asked before. He asked,
What does a crocodile have for dinner?
Then everybody said,
Hush!
Then they spanked him for a long, long time.
By and by, when that was finished, he came upon the koala bird, and he said to him,
My father, my mother, and all my aunts and uncles have spanked me, and I still want to know what a crocodile has for dinner.
Go to the banks of the great gray-green Limpopo River and find out.
The next morning, the insatiable elephant's child took 100 pounds of bananas,
the little short red kind,
100 pounds of sugar cane,
the long purple kind,
and 17 melons,
the green crackly kind.
and he said to all his dear family,
Goodbye, I'm going to the great gray green Limpopo River to find out what the crocodile has for dinner.
and they spanked him once more for luck.
And then he went away, eating melons and throwing the rind about, until he came to what he thought was a log of wood at the very edge of the Limpopo.
But it was really a crocodile, and the crocodile winked one eye.
Then the crocodile winked the other eye and lifted half of his tail out in the mud.
And the elephant's child stepped back most politely because he did not wish to be spanked again.
Excuse me, but do you happen to have seen the crocodile in these parts of the river?
Come hither, little one. Why do you ask such things?
Excuse me, but my father and mother and all my aunts and uncles have spanked me. And so, if that's quite all the same with you, I don't want to be spanked anymore.
Come hither, little one, for I am the crocodile.
And he wept crocodile tears to show it was quite true. And the elephant's child grew all breathless, and he panted and kneeled down at the bank and said,
You are the very person I've been looking for all these long days. Will you please tell me what you have for dinner?
The crocodile leaned toward the elephant's child and said,
Come hither, little one, and I'll whisper.
Then the elephant's child put his head down close to the crocodile's musky, tusky mouth, and the crocodile said,
I think today I will begin with the elephant's child.
He clamped his teeth together, biting the elephant's child's nose, and the elephant's child wrinkled up his nose and tried to back away.
Up to that very week, day, hour, and minute, elephant's child's nose had been no bigger than a boot. Though much more useful, speaking through his nose, elephant's child said,
Let go. You are hurting me.
Then the elephant's child sat back on its little haunches and pulled and pulled and pulled, and his nose began to stretch.
and the crocodile floundered in the water, making all creamy, great sweeps of his tail, and pulled and pulled.
And the elephant's child's nose kept on stretching. He spread all his little forelegs and pulled and pulled and pulled.
And the crocodile thrust with his tail like an oar, and pulled and pulled and pulled, and at each pull, the elephant's child nose hurt him terribly.
Then the elephant's child felt his legs slipping, and he said through his nose, which was now nearly 5 feet long,
This is too much for me.
And he pulled as hard as ever he possibly could, and the crocodile let go of his nose with a plop, and he could hear all up and down the Limpopo.
and the elephant's child sat down most hard and sudden. And the first thing he did to be kind to the poor pulled nose, he wrapped it all up in a cool banana leaf that hung it on the great greasy Limpopo to cool.
The elephant's child sat there for 3 days, waiting for his nose to shrink, but he never drew his water. And besides, it made him squint for "Oh best beloved." You will see and understand that the crocodile pulled it out into a really, truly trunk, same as all elephants have today.
So the elephant's child went home across Africa, frisking and shisking his trunk.
When I want fruit to eat, I can pull it down from a tree instead of waiting for it to fall as I used to. When I want grass, I can pluck it from the ground instead of going down on my knees. When flies bite me, I can break off a branch of a tree and use it as fly whisk. And I can make a new cool, shisky mud cap whenever the sun is hot.
One dark evening, he came back to his family. They were very glad to see him, and immediately said,
Come over here and be spanked for your satiable curiosity.
Pooh, I don't think any of you people know anything about spanking, but I do, and I'll show you.
Then he uncurled his trunk and knocked 2 of his brothers head over heels.
Oh, bananas, where did you learn that trick, and what have you done to your nose?
I got a new one from the crocodile on the banks of the great gray-green grassy Limpopo River, and I asked him what he had for dinner, and he gave me this to keep.
It looks very ugly.
So it does, but it's very useful.
and he picked up his brother by one leg and shoved him in a hornet's nest.
Ow!
Then that bad elephant's child spanked all his dear family for a long time, till they were very warned and greatly astonished.
He pulled out his tall ostriches and tail feathers. Ouch!
He caught his tall uncle the giraffe by the hind legs and dragged him through a thorn bush.
Ah!
Ha 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 ha!
He shouted as broad as the hippopotamus.
Hey, Hippo!
His broad aunt, Hippo, pretended to sleep, and he blew bubbles in her ear when she was sleeping in the water after meals.
He never let anyone touch the Kolo Kolo burger.
And the last thing grew so excited that his dear family went off one by one to hurry to the banks of the great gray, green, greasy Limpopo River to borrow new noses from the crocodile.
And they came back, nobody spanked anybody anymore. And ever since that day, oh best beloved, all the elephants you will ever see, besides all those you won't have trunks, precisely like the trunk of the peaceful elephant's child.
Ooh.